So my first question is with regards to choosing the right partner. How do you choose the brands you work with, Dominic? And what made Bitpanda the right fit for you? What were your non-negotiables going in? And how involved do you stay once the partnership is up and running?
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot that I'm able to be here. Really nice. And I mean, in choosing a partnership, the connection needs to be there in every way. Very important to me is also to work with the right humans. That with the humans I work in the brand, that there is a great connection there. And I think if that's the case, everything else is following. But of course, it also needs to fit my values. And for example, with Bitpanda, everything of that is there.
So it has to be it has to fit on a humane level as well. So Dominic, from the other side, or Bitpanda side, what does the athlete selection look like? Is it reach, values alignment, audience demographics, or is it something maybe harder to define?
I think with any kind of, first of all, also thanks for having me. But with any kind of sports sponsorship and partnership, it's not just the hard values, right? Because I mean, you can always, I think everyone working in this industry knows that you can calculate the numbers the way you want to and make them look nice. But for us, it's much more. It's about building up a sustainable and long-term partnership, having the right shared values, having the right, also very important, level of ambition, right? We want to partner with the best because we want to be the best in what we are doing. So we want to learn from them and also try to exchange those values and those level of ambitions. And I think here's a perfect example of how a partnership can evolve. And even though Dominic is not playing anymore, we work together, and we don't plan to end that partnership anytime soon. And I think those are our values which stand out much more than actual reach or just a pure ROI.
So having the same first name had nothing to do with that selection?
That made the deal done, yes.
Sealed the deal. So there's a lot of talk, of course, about authentic partnerships. Where does authenticity end and commercial pragmatism begin? And how do you kind of navigate that tension? That's for both of you.
I mean, from a commercial point of view, obviously, for us as a brand, we don't have, or no brand has unlimited marketing budget, unfortunately. So, of course, it comes down to commercials as well. But, I mean, you can, I think, if you want, or if both sides want to do a deal, there's always a way to find a solution, right? You can work on the structure of a deal, you can work on certain KPIs, you can work on the length of a deal, you can work on so many different things, on the assets, on the creatives. There's so many ways if you really want to work together. I personally think it's wrong if a marketing decision-making person says it's too expensive. I think it's, if both sides go one step closer to each other, there's always a way to find a solution.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the commercial value for both sides needs to be there, obviously, but I think especially nowadays, the partnerships are going more and more into direction long-term, and also having this sustainability in the partnerships. And I think, like, without the right human connection, without the authenticity, this is not possible. I mean, I think back in the days was more about putting that badge on the shirt and making some photo shoots, and that's it. But I think the crowd and the fans are very good in recognizing if partner and athlete is a good fit, and that's why that's super important.
A lot of athletes sign up with crypto and fintech companies without really understanding the product. How did you personally get comfortable, familiarize yourself with what Bitpanda does? And do you use the platform yourself?
Of course, I use the platform myself. That's no question. And it's true. I mean, with my example, when I was starting to earn good money in my career, I was in the beginning of my 20s. To be honest, I was very little interested in how money works, how investing in my future should look like. And I was only started to be interested in that, also how important financial education and all the investments for the future are. towards my end 20s, also with my injuries, when I slowly realized that there's going to be an end to my active career, and also, of course, that my good earnings from my tennis career are not there forever. And that's why those partnerships are super important. For example, Bitpanda, it's way more than crypto. You can also invest in ETFs, in digital assets, in metals. So it's super good also for the financial education. And if you look in tennis, I was just discussing this with one of my family members the other day. Like more than 100 million people are playing tennis active. So if you make it to the top 100 as a man or as a woman, doesn't matter, you made like a 1 out of a million chance, obviously. And you took that chance to earn a lot of money, and I really think you deserve that, and you should also use that chance and not be broken somewhere after your career. So yeah, financial education is just super important for any athlete.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, and it completely aligns in that case with what you've been working on for years, financial independence, and having that understanding as well. But Dominic, what do you require from an athlete partner in terms of product knowledge? And what does good onboarding look like from your end?
Yeah, I think it's for us, it's always very important that the people we partner up with, besides the shared values and level of ambition, which I mentioned before, that somehow they have a use or an interest in our product. It doesn't mean that they need to be heavy users or that they have to do it every day, but I think I mean, they're also spreading a lot of vibes. They're meeting a lot of people. They're big multiplicators in their network, not just from a media coverage point of view, but also with the people who they meet. So for us, it's always very important that the people we work with understand our product, understand our vision, what we're trying to achieve there, because they meet, I mean, Dominic is traveling around the world, although he's not playing anymore a lot, right? And he meets a lot of people, so it's important that he understands us as a company, who we are, what we're trying to be, and also our product, in order to spread the word. And we don't expect from him to onboard 50 new customers, right? But I think if he's somewhere in the world saying, yeah, that's a cool partner, and by the way, I'm using the product, and this is what you can do, this is a very natural way how we further distribute and spread the word.
And transparency really is key in your relationship as well, in terms from your side and also from the athlete's side. Does Bitpanda see athlete financial education as part of this partnership or this proposition? Is there a product or access element for the athlete beyond just a sponsorship fee?
Yeah, so what we do is that we always give all ambassadors and partners access to our VIP management team, so they can always, 24/7 reach out to our team if there's any issue with our product or any kind of, I mean, we cannot give financial advice, right, as a company, but we can help them with anything they need. So they have full access and service there. And I mean, ultimately, it's their own decision what and how they want to invest, and this is also what we stand for as a company. We want to democratize the financial industry and make it as easy and accessible for everyone, and as smooth and as intuitive as possible to have access to the whole financial market. And this is what we try to educate our ambassadors with as well. But ultimately, it's Dominic's choice if he wants to invest his money into real estate or crypto or stocks or whatever. What we're just trying to do is to give him the one app for all his investments, which he can use into the financial industry. But how much of his wealth he's investing into that's ultimately his choice, as well as it's for every customer of us, their choice. And we don't force anyone to say you have to do crypto or you have to do stocks. That should be an independent choice.
Dominic, you touched on your financial journey and, of course, the financial nous that you acquired along that. But what would you say to a young tennis player now in terms of maybe preparing his financial future and being maybe more aware of what he's going through right now, or her?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, I was not very into my finances, into my financial education in a very young age. But then, yeah, middle 20s, end of 20s, I started with it. And as Dominic mentioned before, you don't need to do something every day or many hours a day. But to be honest, as a tennis player, somehow you are traveling all year. You're doing a lot, of course, every day, but you still have many or quite a lot of dead hours every day where you can do useful stuff. And I would recommend to everybody to once or twice a week do something for your financial education, because it's exactly what I said before. If you are in that privileged situation to earn a lot of money, if you took that 1 out of a million chance to be a top tennis player, you really deserve to have a very good financial base during and also after your career, and to take care of that. I think it's very good to start early. I mean, you don't have to do it every day, many hours, but slowly and steady. And I think if you do that towards the end of your career, you have a very, very solid education, and you can build on that.
From Bitpanda's side, what do your sponsorship visibility expectations look like with the athlete? And how do you manage to make it look organic without, over-branding and kind of forcing or pushing selling Bitpanda to your followers?
I mean, to a certain extent, it's structured or limited anyway. What you can do, for example, on tour, ATP says, okay, this is what you're allowed to do, this is what you're not allowed to do. So it's not that we can, brand the whole T-shirt of a player. But like I said, for us, it's not so much only about the visibility on a shirt. I mean, Dominic is not playing anymore, so he doesn't have that visibility on a shirt anymore. But even more, we're happy to have him on board, because it's exactly those moments now, right? He has time now. If he would still be playing, he would be a couple of kilometers away playing French Open right now, and we would not have the chance to have him here, right? So I think it's limited by regulations what you're allowed to brand. It's the same with football clubs, right? You cannot put banners anywhere you want. And I think in that regard, the sports industry is quite professional and grown up. And of course, you try to maximize your outcome within those limits and rules and regulations. But as mentioned, we're not a brand where we want to throw that brand into somebody's face. It needs to be authentic, it needs to be smart, it needs to be cool. We try to be a premium lifestyle brand and not, just to throw offers. Now sign up and get 20 years. That's also not something Dominic would feel comfortable with, right? If he would be doing that every day on his social media. So I think it's all a process of, and look at the big brands, how they've been building up for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I think those are the right steps to stay within those boundaries, but to maximize activation, authenticity, and so on.
Roland Garros, the Grand Slam tournament, is actually going on right now. It's a place that's very charged in memories for yourself, Dominic. 3 finals there, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the biggest moments, of course, in your career. How do you experience the tournament now as a spectator, being here in Paris as well during the fortnight, compared to when you were competing to the title?
I experienced this year hot like never before. I remember, when I reached my first finals, it was 7 degrees and light rain, so it was very different. No, but obviously Paris is a very special place already since a junior for me. I always loved to come here in springtime, early summer. It's daylight until very late. I think like many or a big percentage of the people in the city, they really love their tennis. Like you see it everywhere. You see tennis balls everywhere. The whole city is about tennis in those 2 or 3 weeks, and I always loved that atmosphere. Of course, as a player was different, because luckily I was coming here and fight for the title. So there was also a lot of tension, a lot of pressure. I was not doing so much outside of preparing for the next match and trying to fight for the title. And now it's very, very different. Now it's pretty relaxed, I would say, to see the tournament from a completely different perspective. Very interesting as well. I'm very happy as well to see all my former colleagues and all the people. Luckily, I have a great relationship with them, so it's a good energy there. And I'm also gonna see the final next Sunday, so very, very interesting to see it from a spectator's point of view. Very curious about that. Although first final I played 2018 against Rafa, I was also not much more than a spectator. But now I'm gonna see it from the stands. Really looking forward to that, and yeah, really privileged to see that amazing tournament from outside now.
Do you have a player that you'd like to see win Roland Garros this year?
I would like to see Sasha Zverev win, of course. I think he deserves that Grand Slam title highly, but yeah, there's a guy from Italy who is gonna be hard to beat, I guess.
He's not too bad, is he, old sinner? So, since you've stepped away from the tour, you've been very busy building other projects at Team Energy, the Academy, Team View. What's keeping you busiest and most excited right now?
Yeah, we started to build 4 pillars for myself for my next chapter. Let's say after the tennis career, it's health, sport, sustainability, and investments. And all 4 of them are requiring similar amount of my time. I mean, working with my partners like today, it's really nice. I enjoy it a lot, and maybe that's the most of my time right now. But in general, I enjoy all of my projects. I'm super busy, which I think is very important. If you play the sport so intensely for all your life, to keep busy and to keep also your mental abilities sharp, I think that's very crucial, and I think I did that transition very well, and very pumped for the future ahead, for all the projects, and let's see. But now I think all those projects are requiring pretty much the same time, working with my partners probably a bit more, but it's just great.
So where does Bitpanda's sports partnership strategy go from here? Are there new categories of athletes or sports that you're exploring?
Right now, I think we have a great portfolio of partners. We're partnering up with football clubs like Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain, AC Milan, and others. We partner up with ATP Tour, as well as a couple of tournaments as a second pillar, and as a third pillar, we partner up with NFL for American football, which is especially really attractive in the German-speaking markets. It's really big. It got really big, and the UK as well. And I think also a game will come to Paris, if I'm not mistaken, soon. So those are our 3 pillars, and you see that we have certain markets which we focus on. This is also how we choose then certain areas, certain regions. So I think for now we have quite a strong lineup in terms of partnerships. And there's no need to further close any new deals. It's much more about activating them, using them. How can you also cross-sell or cross-activate them, right? Dominic was playing yesterday in London at an Arsenal event. So how can we use our ambassadors also to participate in other sports and other events? Because I think that brings up, again, that authenticity, and it's fun for everyone involved, and it creates value. So yeah, we're much more focused on activating right now than exploring new partnerships.
Now, put a brand-athlete partnership on a scorecard at the 12-month mark. What are the 3 metrics, honestly, that tell you whether it's working or not?
I'm, honestly speaking, not a huge fan of those kind of metrics because, again, I could lie to myself, I could create them, and then I could, work every KPI towards them. For us, it's much more about generally how do we as a company develop, how does our brand perception develop, how does our brand awareness develop, how do the market shares develop, because ultimately, marketing is one thing why customers might use our product, but it's also our product, our customer service, our offering, which is much more important than just marketing communication. So it would not make sense to spend all this money and have a shitty product, because then people will churn and will not use the product. So for us, it's much more about having the strategic view on are we doing the right things in product and operations in our strategy, and that supported by our partnerships and by marketing communication in general. So it's a huge, we always call it's a huge flywheel, and our partnership, which create a lot of perception and brand authenticity, they're a part of that, right? And without them, it wouldn't work, but with only doing that, it would also not work, right? So I think it's very important to have generally the business view on many things and not just onto marketing things.
Not necessarily in your industry, but do you have an example of a brand-athlete partnership that you think has been very successful and you aspire to?
Dominic Thiem and Bitpanda, obviously, it comes into my mind first. No, I think there's, I mean, look at tennis, right? Roger Federer, what he has amazing partnerships, I think, where everyone remembers, if it's Barilla or others, right? They have incorporated him very nicely into their TV spots and activations. There's so many of them, and I think a lot of brands do a very good job, but there's also a lot of brands which do not do a good job because they don't use that, they don't activate it. And there's a lot of money going into sports, which is not, in my point of view, being properly used. But that's the decision of every company. You never know what's the strategic mindset or the strategic goal or reasoning behind a partnership. And if you don't have all the details, it's always from the outside hard to measure or to have an opinion on if that partnership is successful or not.
What I can see, your collaboration is carefully curated and very organic. But if you could change one thing about how other brand-athlete partnerships are traditionally structured today, what would it be? That's the both of you.
For me, the story needs to be round. I really like long-term partnerships because then you can create a story, you can develop together what fits the best, and then I think what's super important that if people and fans see the partnerships, they say, okay, yeah, that fits. And honestly, with some athlete brand relationships, I don't have that feeling personally myself. And then as well, what I mentioned before, that the human connection needs to be there, because then there can develop a great time. And the third thing, of course, the commercial value needs to be there as well. But yeah, I think it goes in the right direction. But what I would love to see more is the storytelling, and that there is a round story. I think Bitpanda and me and the clubs and the other athletes are a great example for that. And yeah, I think if more athletes and brands are having that kind of relationship, it's perfect for the whole sports environment.
Okay, same question to you.
Yeah, I agree. I think storytelling is nowadays, where we live in a world where everyone gets so many messages every day on all kind of channels. It's more important than ever, because you cannot really artificially build up that story anymore, in my point of view, because of the complexity how communication works nowadays. And I mean, take Dominic, it's a perfect example. We're an Austrian company, right? Our level of ambition is to be the best in Europe or the best in the world in what we're doing. This is what he stands for in his area of expertise in tennis. He was there, and I think that is a very natural storyline, right? An Austrian company going into the world, company which has a strong commitment to sports, to society, and I think, like Dominic has said, to people who look at it from the outside, they say, okay, that makes sense, right? And then activation comes on top of it to further foster that. But if somebody would look at it saying, why is Dominic doing Bitpanda? How does that make sense? And I think that still happens way too many times.
Good results, of course, attract big sponsorships. Did you feel a difference between pre and post your victory at the US Open, becoming more attractive to sponsors as an athlete?
There are a bit of two sides to that topic. The first side is that, yeah, I felt it. I felt a lot of attention. And like if I look nowadays at my team, how we work, I think we could have done, with the same team back then, we could have done a little bit more. But the other side is that was unfortunately the peak of the COVID pandemics. So a lot of companies, a lot of brands were still very careful. I mean, nobody knew how long the COVID pandemic stays and what's going to happen in the next year. So it was far away from a normal time. So there are two sides of it. In general, I just can say that it was a super interesting period of time. Could have done maybe a little bit more out of it, but at the same time was super difficult. But for sure, very good learning and a very interesting period to also have that much attention because of such a big success.
How important are results for the brand, and how important is it for the athlete to uphold those results to kind of continue that partnership?
Like I said, Dominic is not playing anymore, right? So unless we play a game of paddle, then the results matter. But no, I look at the Champions League final. We have two clubs, two Bitpanda partner clubs competing against each other with Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal. So of course, a certain sportive success matter because, yeah, it creates coverage. It creates a certain that also level of ambition which we are trying to communicate, right? To say we are the best in what we're doing. So how is it authentic then to partner up with somebody who gets relegated into the second league, right? I mean, I'm missing that authenticity, which we're trying to emphasize here. But on the other side, you know, it's sport, so you have weeks and seasons where maybe, I mean, Bayern Munich, when we entered into the partnership, it was the first time after whatever 10 years where they did not win the championship. So what, right? You're there in good and in bad times if you generally, in a very sensible way, choose your partnerships.
How important are relationships between your ambassadors? Is it something that you encourage, even if it's kind of crossing over into other sports?
Yeah, very important, because what we try to achieve is that I mean, it sounds awkward, but we try to be a family, right? And we want, if there's an event of Bitpanda, we invite everyone and we want them to have a good time, because if Dominic feels comfortable at one of our events, because he likes the people there, he likes how we set up things, then I think he's more willing to have a good time, to stay longer, to engage more, to come back. And I think with all of our ambassadors, it's the case that we have a contract, but we never really speak about the contract. It's much more about, hey, you have time next week or not, or we do this whatever Oktoberfest event, you want to join. And if they like each other as well, of course, there's another reason to come. So, and I think that creates that positive energy and authenticity again, which makes the difference. Okay,
just to conclude, what's next for Dominic Thiem?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to Roland Garros tomorrow. We have a big event there, charity event there, and then, as I said, back to Vienna for some stuff with partners, and then back on the final weekend to watch the men's final on Sunday. I'm super excited for that, and that's what I'm doing next.
Will we ever see you again at Roland Garros competing?
I highly doubt it.
Never say never. Anyway, Dominic Thiem, Dominic Bayer, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.